Hey everybody, welcome to the Chasing Freedom podcast with Noah and Jeff.
In this show, we're going to dive deep into flips, wholesales, holding rentals, and creatively structuring deals,
so that we can show you how you can achieve that lifestyle of freedom that you desire.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Chasing Freedom podcast with Noah and Jeff. Today, we have an absolutely phenomenal guest. David Moore is in our local market. He's got 21 personal rentals with plans to purchase just about triple that number this year.
Absolutely.
And I have full conviction that he's going to be able to do it.
Yep.
And then he's also got 8 active projects. He's a serial entrepreneur. He's got ownerships in companies. Like, this guy blows my mind. And on top of all of that, he's a great person.
Yeah.
So David, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. Like, we feel blessed to have you.
Man, thank you guys for inviting me. Just excited to be this. You guys are on fire, and just happy to be here and chatting up with you guys.
Absolutely, man. Well, cool. We kind of want to get to know you a little bit and have the listeners understand like you as a person, because there'll be different people that relate to you individually, and they'll say, well, man, David sounds a lot like me. Maybe I could do what he's doing.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, so I'm from here, born and raised, been in Idaho my entire life, and kind of grew up in a family of salespeople. Mom was in outside sales, and so that's kind of where I went. I've been in sales my entire career, done everything from door to door to vacuum sales to car lots to gyms. Nice. I mean, if you can think of a product, I've probably sold it. So yeah, I've been just kind of going around different career paths down that road, and years ago was able to get into the career that I'm at now. That put me around some awesome entrepreneurs, guys that have done really, really well in multiple things, but specifically real estate. And I caught the bug, so it's been fun. I've been able to earn ownership in a few different companies that I am currently working for. And then, we started our real estate company after that with the help and mentorship and guidance of guys that have gone before us.
Yeah, I love it, man. What made you make that jump to wanting to pursue real estate? Because it seemed like you were killing it, right? You were so good at your job that you got yourself ownership in these companies. Like, most people would be complacent in that. So what was it that was like, I got to take this jump, I got to do this?
Yeah, so I've always just been somebody that had huge goals and dreams. And the fact of the matter is that, there's a ceiling on all W-2 jobs. And so, I wanted the ability to really create some of those really big dreams that we have. You guys talk about your why all the time.
Yeah.
For me, it's something too that, is really, really important is I've got a clearly defined why. It's huge. It's massive. I've got massive goals. And in order to do that, it needed multiple streams of revenue. And there's nothing better than real estate, right? It's made more millionaires than anything else for a reason.
Yep.
So that combined with, having guys around me that have done well in it.
Yeah.
No brainer.
How long ago do you think like you defined your big why, your big goals? Like, and then if you don't mind sharing them, like personally, I'd love to hear from them.
Yeah. Same here.
So that probably started 4 or 5 years ago. I'd had goals, but they were, kind of just right ahead of you, carrot type goals, income-based goals. And income-based goals are great, but they're not going to drive your life forever. There's got to be attached to something else stronger than that. And so I had the opportunity to get connected with some guys who were really big in personal development, had massive lives, had done incredible action steps. And it got me thinking way bigger than I had ever thought. It went from, we talked about this when we sat down for coffee, that you can think about, I want to make $100,000 a year, $200,000 a year, and think that you're really dreaming until you get around people who are making $1 million a month.
Yeah.
And when you get around that and see that the income isn't really everything, it's the impact that they get to have.
Yeah.
It just blows the lid off of what you want to do.
Yep.
So, 2016, 17, really started thinking about, okay, what is my actual life? What's my life going to look like? And, we came up with some of our big goals, which are always changing.
Yeah.
But we want to have a massive income and passive income so that it affords us to do the time and the things that we want to do. My wife is a huge part of my business. She's my supporter. She's my backbone. She's my rock. And so, we sat down together at the advice of one of my friends and coaches and said, what do we want our actual life to look like?
Yeah.
Not like the house and the car, but like, what do we want our life to look like?
Yeah.
And it was one of time, freedom, impact, giving.
Yeah.
You know, we want to have the ability just to bless people. We want our daughter, we have a son on the way,
Yeah.
to just not know parents that ever had to make decisions based on limiting time, limiting income.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted them to have this massive life. You know, one of my coaches, he told me, he said, so if you were to approach a regular person that had worked, you know, an hourly based job, and said to their child, you know, a goal of making $1 million this year, it's going to seem like a really unattainable goal, right?
Yeah.
But if you talk to one of the Gates children or any billionaire's children and said, you know, make $1 million this year, it's going to seem like a tiny little, like, easy thing.
Yeah.
And so we just wanted to live in a life of abundance that, you know, my kids had massive dreams that had no cap on them.
Yeah.
I love that, man. I think that's so cool because it's like, I mean, we're all first generation wealth builders, right?
Yeah.
So like, you know, I thought I was cool because like back in the day, like my goal was to make $200,000 a year before 30.
Yeah.
And like, I was like, okay, cool. I'm double the average person's goal, right?
Right.
But you're right. Like we get around these big players, we go to these real estate masterminds, like we surround ourselves with winners and they're doing like what my goal starting off was in a week.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like, okay, so if I follow their steps and I do what they're doing, I can do that too.
Yeah.
And then you're right. Like, man, how much farther ahead can all of our kids be if they're born into that mindset?
Yeah.
And it's not about the giving, right? It's not about just giving them money. It's about teaching them the things that we wish we could have been taught earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing. We're not taught in this society, in this country, like to pursue entrepreneurship or to like, hey, you don't have a ceiling. Like we're taught like you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get a great job, and then like you cap yourselves. And my son's birthday is on Friday, and I was actually just writing like an Instagram post from the other day. And I was writing like essentially like my wishes for him. And I just started, so as you said that, I was like, man, this is crazy. Because as I'm writing, I'm like, what's my true hope for my son? And I start writing like, I hope that like you have no limits. Like we're able to build a successful business that allows us to live the life that we want, so that then when you grow up, you're like, I have no limits. I can do whatever I want. Like I can go and pursue this passion. I can go and build homes in this country. Like I can do whatever I want. Like dream big, do whatever you want. And so like, that's why we do this, right? We do this, we build a successful company all to get abundance and then allow for freedom, not only for ourselves, but for those around us. So man, I love to echo that when I hear that on the show, because every person we get on the show, it's like the same story. Everyone gets in real estate to create time freedom. No one ever is like, oh, I want the money. Everyone gets in the show for the time freedom. And then it's always about more than them. It's about how can I bless other people? How can I create legacy for my family? So again, guys, this is why you get into real estate, not to make money. If you want to make money, good luck. But if you want to create time freedom and build legacy and build wealth and give back and be generous, real estate is a great avenue to do that, right?
Absolutely. There's a lot of ways that people can make a lot of different, a lot of money. And I happen to think that real estate is the best one. There's so many options, so many different plays. It's something. I was just listening to your guys' podcast when it was just the two of you talking.
Oh, yeah.
And you were talking about, you know, a lot of people that come from, you know, kind of no start is it's like music or sports or something. But not everybody is built for that, right? Not everybody's built to do those things, but anybody can do real estate. What you said was 100% right. Like you can literally have no background, no skill set, no resources, and start making money in real estate today.
100%.
And just snowballing it and getting better. And so I love it. You know, there's just so many different plays, so many different ways to build wealth. It's awesome.
I was just listening to Maxwell on he was on the Real Estate Disruptors podcast with Stephen Tran, and he was talking about how he struggles with dyslexia. Like he was a horrible student, never thought he would amount to anything. And the dude is like a real estate pioneer. Like people know Maxwell, like the dude's killing it in wholesales, started a commercial company, does like 50 to 60 flips a year and like doesn't even think about that. Like that just runs itself. And this is a kid who grew up with dyslexia. Like the world told him like, hey, good luck, do the best you can.
Right.
And he just pushed it past that. So like, yeah, anybody can find success in real estate. Like just take action and have consistency. I think that's so rad.
Yeah.
All right. So let's dive into your first deal, David. So you got the bug for real estate. How did you pull the trigger? How'd you get going?
Yeah, so I'll back up just like a half a second before that. My wife and I had been connected with a guy that had built multiple companies, and he had done really, really well in a network marketing company. So we had met him through that. And he and I had sat down after he had left the network marketing company, and we were talking about what he was doing for his future. And he was talking about real estate. And at the time, we had some ideas of a couple different like retail based locations, nail salons, coffee shops, things like that, where you could put a model in and just repeat it. And he really started pointing me towards like, okay, well, you guys are already homeowners, so you've already kind of got the first part down, but what would it look like for you to, find an avenue in real estate that was something that you could repeat? And so I came away from that conversation just thinking, okay, what are we going to do here? Like if this person that I trust and I can see obvious results from his action is saying like, maybe check this out, we're going to at least see.
Yeah.
So I dove into Bigger Pockets, which I know you guys are both huge fans of, which is where I tell everybody if they start talking about where can I learn real estate, I tell them go to Bigger Pockets, and check everything out that they've got. And so it's a lot of information to take on at once because they bring so many different people and so I'm like writing everything down. Okay, this person's doing this person's doing this. Yeah. And right about then is when our market started really getting on fire, right? Yep. So I was like, I think that we're going to try this out with some flips. Went back and approached a guy who has been a huge blessing for our business and has done really well in real estate. And I said, I want to do some flips. Would you come alongside with me? Yeah. And here's a guy who I'm a partner at the company that he owns, and I also work as that company. Okay. And so he said, yeah, let's go find a deal.
That's right.
So I just started telling everybody, right? I think it's so important that you're talking to people about what you want to do. That you don't sit there and think like, okay, gosh, I want to get off the couch and do this, but like, how am I going to do it? Tell people you're a real estate investor. Get to meetups. Talk to people online. Let everybody know what you're going to do because somebody's going to remember that and it's going to come back to you. And that's exactly what happened. Yeah. As a family member, it's like, I just talked to him. He's going to do real estate. They ended up coming across somebody who said, my parents are selling their house, but they want to sell it off market. Connected us. Boom. We went and picked up a house off the bench, like a 4.2, 1,800 square foot house for cheap. Nice. And homeowners were happy. They got what they wanted to get out. But we walked into this place off the bench and we're like, okay, this is going to be my first flip. Mm-hmm. And I just sat alongside and watched everything. He had me do the purchase agreement. He had me doing all of like setting up the trust. It was literally everything. He showed me, okay, this is what you do. This is what you do. And at the end of it, we came away with a win. The flip went great. So it's just rinse and repeat.
I want to pull something out that you said that I think was extremely important. You said you started just telling everybody that this is who you were, and I think that's important in manifesting that forward, right? Because you speak it into existence. You start telling people, I am a real estate investor. This is what I do. Yeah, and then you're convincing yourself of that story that that's the type of person you are. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's the other important part is, right? Like you have to identify like with who you want to become ahead of time. Yeah. It's almost like the fake it till you make it.
Absolutely.
That's real. Yeah. Like that, you can't deny that.
Right. Yeah.
And then look, you got a lead that kickstarted the whole thing.
Yeah, because those doors aren't going to get opened if you're quiet about it, right?
Yeah, you can't be shy about it.
And it's a huge part of you even getting started and taking action. Because if you keep that dream to yourself, there's no accountability. You haven't stepped out there and put it out into the world. You haven't said, this is what I am, this is what I'm doing. Yep. And so if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. It's just another thing that you told yourself you're going to do that you didn't. And most people, I would say 99% of us, have a lot of those things in our lives, right? Oh, yeah. Where we've got something in our head that we're going to do, but then we don't put it out into the world and it doesn't happen. And it's not that big a deal. There's not really any consequences other than it's another notch. It's another thing that we said we were going to do and we didn't do. Mm-hmm. And you chalk up enough of those and it becomes a pattern. It becomes a behavior. Yep. Well, this is a way to break that pattern. You just step out before doing anything and say, this is what I'm going to do. And I tell you and I tell you and I tell my family members and I tell everyone. And then action and results come back from that action. Yep. And so it's just a way to snowball and get results.
Yeah. And it's crazy. Like, you got your first deal just talking to people. Yeah. Like people get so scared as they get into real estate, like, oh, I got to spend all this money on marketing, or man, I got to go knock on doors. And like, sure, those are a couple methods, but also just telling people what you do. Yep. Like at this point, like our business has grown and we spend a stupid amount of money every month on marketing, and we still get like 3 to 4 deals a month just from word of mouth networking. Yep. Like there is nothing that will ever replace like networking, talking to people, telling them what you do, and then having follow through so that they know you're going to follow up on what you said you're going to do. Right. But talking to people, man, just like if you have a passion to get started in real estate, tell everybody.
Absolutely.
Those 2 reasons. 1, you're going to manifest it. 2, a deal's going to pop up. Like
Yep.
it may take a while. You may be talking about it for a year, but eventually like word of mouth will get out like, oh, this guy's looking to do this or this guy's looking to do this. And maybe it's not a deal. Maybe it's a lending opportunity or maybe it's a partnership opportunity.
Yeah.
Something will come along if you put yourself out there and start going to these types of events and talking to people and telling them. So I think that's huge, man.
With that partner you brought on, and he walked you through the first deal.
Yeah.
If you don't mind sharing, how much of the deal did you give up for that guidance?
We went 50-50.
Yep.
I love it.
And I feel like it was a blessing for me to even get that 50 because I literally, I came to him. That was the other thing is I wasn't afraid to ask.
Yeah.
I went to somebody who I know had done the things that I wanted to do before me and had the resources to continue doing them and approached him and said, hey, I want to do this. Will you help me?
Yeah.
And I wasn't afraid to ask.
Yep.
And go ahead. No, you go.
And so when he agreed, I then went and took the action instead of saying, okay, sweet, I've got this now. I went and took the action of finding the thing to bring it back.
Yeah.
I offered to, I had some money saved up that I could have put into the deal. I offered to do that. He said no. We went completely with him funding the purchase, funding the rehab, using his crew, and just basically putting me into the middle there of showing me if I were doing this by myself, this is what I would do.
Yeah.
We went and walked, I think, like maybe a half a dozen properties before we found that one.
Okay.
And so we did go see some other ones that and he would tell me this doesn't fit because of this. I would, probably walk away from this. This works at this price point, but if we can't get it there.
Yeah.
So there was some education too.
That's awesome.
But yeah.
That's rad.
Yeah. I'm a firm believer that you pay for education somehow.
Yep.
Yeah.
Every single, you either pay through failures,
Yep.
you pay through partnerships,
Yep.
or you pay through hiring like a coach or a formal education, whether that be like you buy a program to learn real estate,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
But you always pay.
Absolutely.
So, and then I think it's so funny, like Jeff and I talk about this a lot, especially with new people that are starting and they come to us for advice and, we'll try to point them in the right direction and we find out that, they're trying to make every single deal a home run or they don't want to give up the pie because they're like, no, it's mine. I found it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't come from that mindset. Come from an abundance mindset. How much of it can I give away and still have it be worth my time?
Yes.
Yeah.
And when you think like that, then that person goes, oh, you want to give me how much for helping you? Okay, well, how about we go find like 5 of them and then you'll do 5 that month instead of 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the abundance mindset and being like, I want everybody else around me to win too.
Yeah.
And that's very evident about you.
Oh, I
Yep.
appreciate that. It is important. Every single project that I have going on that's in development or flip stage right now I've given away parts of it for different reasons, to bring in a lender, to give out some of the work so that I don't have to control the entire project.
Yeah.
And it just continues to come back. God continues to open up more doors, give us more opportunities. And I think a huge part of that is because we never make the call of, no, I need this entire thing. There's always room. If there's not room, it's probably not a deal that I want to do.
Yeah.
That's good, man. I love it. One of the things we talked about, we just launched the show with Casey Ames, and we talked about like individual, like, there's some lending parameters or partnership parameters you want to stay within, but also each deal kind of dictates those parameters, right?
Sure.
Like if you get a killer deal, but you like for us right now, we have a deal that's like, bro, it could be a 7-figure spread.
Yeah.
I don't know how to do it.
Right.
Like it's a house flip and then a 7-lot development or like 4-4plex development. That's not my arena.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give away a massive amount of that to bring somebody on to do that, to make sure that I don't mess that portion up. And then we're all going to make a bunch of money.
Yeah.
And it's going to, like, sure, I'm not going to make the 7-figure spread, but I'm going to walk away with, who knows, 300 to 500,000. And I'm going to be super stoked about it.
Absolutely.
Because I didn't have the bandwidth or the capacity to take that on. And now by bringing them in, I'm hands off. Like I'm going to flip the house, which is automated for our business. And then I'm purchasing the house. They're doing all the land development, selling it to the builder, all that jazz. And I'm going to fully focus on our flip business, and that's going to continue to generate revenue. So like giving up portions of the deal, do it if it makes sense. Like the deal always dictates what you can give up. Don't get caught in like, well, this podcast I listened to told me that I should only pay 8 to 12% for money.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah.
If that's what you can get, awesome. Great for you. But if you can't get that and you got to give away 25 to 50% of the deal and still make money, do it. You're making money.
I think it's so awesome what you just said there, because not only are you taking something that, a lot of people would say, well, this is a once in a lifetime type deal. I'm never going to get this again. I want to keep the entire thing. And they would go through with it and probably mess it up along the way. And you guys are experienced investors, and you still have the opportunity, the foresight to say, this is not my expertise. This is going to be better served if I can bring somebody else into it. And so you're giving away a huge chunk of equity, but you understand that by doing that, the project's going to run smoother. You're going to learn a massive amount. So you're going to be able to do that project by yourself later if that opportunity calls again. You've also shown this person who's obviously somebody who is a mover, does deals, is good at what they do because you guys are taking it to them, that you guys have an abundant mindset. And so now there will be opportunities that come down where that person goes, you know what, this actually is a really, really good fit for Jeff and Noah to come into. So you've opened up so many doors just by saying, I don't need this entire thing. I can have my piece and the deal still works masterfully.
And like, just to kind of like echo that is like, it hasn't gone through yet, but I think it's going to work, is these same folks who were bringing on the partner then just yesterday say, hey, I know you guys picked up 4 projects this week. Do you need money for them? So like, that's the type of thing, like we added value, we brought them in and immediately they responded. It's like, that's the abundance mindset. It creates those types of things. Right.
And it doesn't always work out like that.
It doesn't always.
But you don't give with the expectation to get. You give because you're like, this is the mindset. This is the type of person I want to be.
And it puts you in a position though, because if you're not giving, nobody's going to be like, if you're a stickler, if you're that guy, because there's some people that we work with that are those guys. And it's like, you want every single penny at, like, honestly, I don't even look at the stuff as it comes across my table anymore, because I know they squeezed every dime out of it before it got to my desk. Like I can't do it. Like there's certain guys that send it and I'm like, yeah, I'll look at that all day long. And sometimes their deals don't pencil, but I know like they just didn't get a good price then. Like they're trying to make something work and try and make it work for me, and they're going to make a little cut. Like that's okay. But like trying to maximize every penny out of everything just doesn't put you in a good position to then have that kind of that people want to add value to you as you're adding value to them. So
maximize the relationships, not the dollars.
Relationships are 9,000 billion times. Like I can't even think of a number. Relationships are so much more important than money.
And the cool friends you meet here. Like, dude, to consider you a friend.
Absolutely.
I freaking love that.
Absolutely. We've talked about that every time we've met up about how cool this is, of what everybody in this network is doing, because we're all going to be doing real estate in this valley and outside of it for decades. And the fact that we come from an abundance mindset, that it's like, where can I bring in this person? Where can I bring in this person? It shows you, if you go past any of the giant projects, whether that's here or anywhere else, you're going to see multiple names on the side of those you're going to see, you know, signs up that have multiple companies. And so as you scale this thing and get bigger and bigger, you're going to be giving away parts of it anyway. You might as well get used to that right now.
And then get comfortable with the relationships you're building. Like I see this relationship and a couple other ones that we have, like being something where in 5 years we go and buy a massive amount of multifamily deals together. Like, because we started the relationship on the right foot. We started adding value to people on the front end. That trust in that relationship was built. And now you go on to do way bigger stuff, right?
Well, we've gone real deep on having an abundance mindset and caring about the people around you. I think what would be really cool, because we talked just about it in your intro, is talking about your portfolio and how short you've built that up. I'm blown away, and I think everybody wants to hear more about this.
Yeah, that's 21 doors in 3 months, right? All right, take it away.
All right, so we had been doing some flips, and again, I went back to the same person that we did our very first flip with. And here's a guy who is very, very humble, but has the options that I want to have in my life, right? And the time that I want to have in my life. And so, you know, I started talking about, all right, what's this next step? And he said, you got to own something, not flip something or do a development and sell it. You have to have some passive income here. You know, you've got to create, that's how you're going to create wealth. You can get very rich doing flips and developments. But I believe that you're going to get wealthy from what you hold. And I know you guys have some of the same beliefs, because I've heard what you guys talk about, you know, as far as your goals of passive income. And that's really why I got started in this, was to have the income that allowed me to make that, you know, if I wanted to walk away and not work for, you know, a year, 2 years, 5 years, that I was able to, because I had already built that backbone. And so my wife and I sat down and said, all right, what are we going to do? We're very fortunate in that, you know, the other projects that we have had created a pretty good income for us that allowed us to make some choices that were pretty easy. So I got knowledged up. I did a lot of reading on what it was going to be to own rentals.
So you read books?
Yeah, I read a ton of books, bought a bunch of podcasts.
What are 1 or 2 of the books you read?
So a lot of Brandon Turner's ones. I like the book on managing rental properties. I read David Green's book about how to invest, the long distance real estate investor. Because for us, you know, we're in a crazy market right now. If you look at cash on cash returns and cash flow here in this market, it's pretty tough. So we knew right away we wanted to go to a different market, at least to start, which that was the other thing. A lot of people say, you know, oh my gosh, I'm in this market. I can't buy, you know, because, you know, my housing price is this and I'm going to have this much money. I promise you there's a solution. Get out of your market. If you don't have money, read the book on investing with no or low money down by Brandon Turner again. That'll show you at least some options, right, on how you can get into real estate without having a ton of money. And so we identified a few markets. I talked with people that were doing well in those markets. And we went into a market in the Midwest in Ohio that had awesome cash flow. There was enough posts of the city that I felt good about its long-term ability to at least hold value, if not, you know, increasing value. So we picked, you know, major metro areas that had at least 100,000 people. Hospitals, schools, military are all things that you see in a metro area that you know that there's going to be continued jobs as well as renters, because all of those things kind of lead towards renters. And so we found a duplex first. On market. I found an agent too. So I called around a few different agents, happened to land with one that is in an awesome team out there. He's an investor himself. He knew exactly what I was looking for. And just basically I told him, you know, hey, I'm going to have you looking at a lot of different properties and I'm going to be asking for a lot of things, but I'm just being upfront with you right now. We will buy multiple properties from you. So he knew that the reward was worth his time.
For sure.
Because you want to make sure that, you know, if you're just going after and poking at 10 different markets, if you haven't identified that already, don't waste people's time. If you're not at least almost ready to buy, then you're not at the stage where you should be having a realtor go and track things down. Like, don't do that to them. My wife's a realtor here, and, you know, there's this fine line where you're like, you want to help somebody out because they're asking questions, but also if they're not in that position where they're going to make a decision, don't waste that person's time. I know you're an agent too, and that's got to be one of the most frustrating things.
That's why I don't do it anymore.
We identified the area we wanted to be at, put an offer in on a duplex. Well, at that same time, I'm showing our previous partner what we're doing, and, you know, he's got a bunch of rentals here, but he's kind of on pause as far as buying rentals. And he's like, you know, let me do a little bit of digging. He comes back to me. He's like, I really like that market. That's a really cool market. Let's do some things. So now I've opened up massive resources outside of myself. You know, we bought our own duplex and now I've brought in somebody. So we went out and tested the market. We went to it. I had never been to the city. It was Dayton, Ohio. I'd never been there. We went out there, flew out there, got to know the city a little bit, spent some time checking out possible properties, identified 2 or 3 that we liked. Ended up putting in offers on a couple of them. Got an 8-plex. That cash flow is awesome on it. Our cash on cash returns like almost 20%.
Oh my gosh!
So
nice job.
Yeah, it's a fantastic deal. On market deal. Had been on market for a few weeks. Somebody got it under contract. Fell out of contract due to their funding, and we snapped it up. So that was our first couple. This is just in April, right? So my goal. At the beginning of April, or beginning of March, I had hired a coach to really blow up our business. And I said, I want to be able to raise $2 million in private funding, and I want to buy 10 rental units this year. So I started tracking towards that in March. By the end of April, we had done that. Had opened up that credit line and then bought 10 units in April.
It's killer.
Since then, our goals have gotten heavier, right? We've got big goals. We're just bought our 11 unit. That was an off-market deal in Cleveland.
Nice.
Huge value add. You know, we got it for a couple $100,000 less than what the person originally wanted to list for.
Oh, wow.
We brought in some really cool investors that are going to be super happy about that. I'll talk about that when we kind of do a deep dive on it. But that's what got us from 0 to 21 in 90 days.
I love it. And so now you reassess and you go, man, we got to 21 so fast. What's the goal for the end of year? What do you want to be at?
I want to fall between 75 and 100.
That's good.
And with the resources that we have, we could buy more. I know we could. If I said we wanted to buy 300, 400, 500 units this year, we could make it happen. But I want to make sure, because at the beginning of this year, again, I had 0 units. I want to make sure that we are growing as our portfolio does, and that I am doing it correctly, and that I don't buy units just to buy units. Here's the thing, is that the real estate market is going to be there tomorrow and next year and the year after, right?
Don't have FOMO. It's not about, you don't want to get in the mindset of, I'm missing out.
So I know.
Especially in these Midwest markets.
You're
not going to have some crazy, like, sure, if you're trying to buy a rental portfolio in Boise, you better get started last year.
For sure.
But in Midwest, that's why we look at these markets, right? Like, the value of these homes will probably be the same, maybe a tiny bit more in a year, 2 years. So
Yeah. So there's no rush, right? But I
Yeah.
want to make sure I'm doing everything correctly.
Yeah.
Again, we want to make sure that the property managers are taking care of things correctly, because we're not managing any of these properties. We're not self-managing
you
anything.
can't. You don't have the time.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we just want to make sure that we're growing at a fast pace that's making us push ourselves, but at a smart pace.
Let's
Yeah,
talk
I
about
love
what
it.
metrics you use to identify something that is a deal versus not a deal in the multifamily space.
Yeah. So everybody gets really caught on cap rate and, like an initial cap rate. And
Yeah.
so, and there are certain parameters we have. Like, that's why we're not buying multifamily in this area, is because things are at like, a 3.5 or 4 cap. And your cap rate is just, you can look up what a cap rate is, but it's basically your net operating income into your purchase price. And so we want to see kind of an outline of, if it's at least a 6 to 7 cap, we start getting interested, especially because a lot of times, a lot of these properties, for one, you got to make sure all the numbers match up, right? Because as a seller, some of these people are not the most honest. So they're
And the
gonna give
records
you,
in the Midwest are crazy. Like
Yeah.
we get like handwritten stuff on napkins.
Yes.
I'm like, no, that's not a lease.
The agents too,
Yeah.
or like they just, the biggest one I see, and you probably see this all the time, is they leave out property management.
Oh yeah.
Because they say they self-manage. So then they're telling you, this is a 14 cap. You just self-manage it, and you don't count the utilities that we pay.
Right.
And then also you don't count all the repairs, because I do the repairs myself.
Yeah, and the 5 times that they let somebody not pay rents and
Yeah.
late
Yeah.
fees, and
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
make sure the numbers match up, right?
Yep.
And so we're looking as a baseline. We want to see a 6 or 7 cap to start.
Okay.
It does get a little crazy. Like if you see something that's a 15 or 18 cap, I'll open it just to see, but
Yeah.
it's probably not a property we want,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
something gets that crazy, it's
What-
a war zone.
What type of loans are you putting on them?
Commercial loans for anything that's 4 unit or 5 units or more.
Okay.
I've got a really, really strong lender for like your duplex, triplex, fourplex.
Okay.
But we are using commercial loans for any of that. You have to use a commercial loan when
Yeah.
you get that high. And
Yep.
we're using small banks. So we're not using any of the big institutional lenders.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people like to do that. The terms for us usually are better if we find a local credit union to that area.
Yeah, I love it.
Things move a little bit faster.
What is that? Just a Google search and you go visit the bank?
I'm calling them down. Yeah. So I'll ask people for recommendations. Like I'll ask
Yeah.
the agent that we're working with, hey, who are the good lenders here? But I have a spreadsheet built out. And so for every area that we're interested in, and I'll start digging into the lending before we find a property. Because I want
Yeah, you wanna be set up.
Yeah, I want to be ready.
Yeah.
You can't always do, if you need a 90-day close on some of these, but they've got, a 30-day close
Yeah.
ahead of you, you're going to miss out on the property.
Yep.
So you want to have at least a relationship started with that commercial loan officer or
Yeah.
bank or whoever it is.
Yep.
I've got, anywhere between 5 and 15 of the local credit unions, banks, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So
And are you going
smart.
30-year amortized on these?
If you're lucky, you can get a 30-year amortized.
Yeah.
So we're running numbers on a base. I'm running numbers off 20 years. If the
Okay.
deal works at 20 years, then I know it's a deal for me. If
Solid.
I can get 30, awesome. I've got 30 like on our duplex. We got 25 on the 8plex.
Nice.
And a 20 on our most recent one.
So
Okay.
you end up having a higher principal
Right.
payment. Your cash flow's lower, but
Absolutely. Your debt pay down's better.
yeah.
Yeah, and
'cause
you're still on a 6 to 7 cap on that 20-year. That's great.
Yeah.
And you're not even. Are you even 30 yet?
Yeah, I'm 35.
Oh, you're 35.
Yeah.
I mean, in
He just
20
looks so good, guys. Just
does.
see the video. He's
Yeah, if you
killing
see
it.
him, yeah, this guy he takes good care of himself though. So I mean, okay, so in 25 years, you'll be 60
Yeah.
with a completely paid off
Right.
portfolio,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then your kids and your grandkids and the kids that come after that will
Yeah.
have multi-generational wealth.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too, about what we did for our daughter as something.
Oh yeah, I wanted to get into that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good. Let's run the numbers on the 11 unit real quick.
Okay.
Deep dive into
Yeah.
that, and
All
then
right.
I want to talk about what you guys did.
dive. Oh, ooh, I don't even know if we're allowed to say that.
Not trademark. Sorry, Brandon.
Yeah, sorry, Brandon Turner. We love you. Don't get
We'll
mad
see you in
at
a
us.
month.
This is so cool, by the way, guys.
And
I'm
it's
so happy for you.
it's Hosanna, right? That's
Yeah.
your daughter.
Yes.
Cool. I remember reading that on Facebook, and I was like, babe, this is what I've been talking about. I
Yeah.
pulled the phone out and showed her the post.
Yeah.
But let's go 11 unit, and then
Okay.
we'll get there because that's a great story.
All right. So as we were starting to buy multifamily, I got into every social media group that had anything to do with real estate investing in multifamily. And I put all of my notifications for those. So that was all I saw. So
Nice.
if we were friends on Facebook and you were posting about the bar you went out to or this or that, I didn't
Saw
see it.
nothing. I love it.
Yeah. So all I wanted to see was real estate, you know? And so every notification that I got, because I think social media is important as a tool that we use.
Yes, yeah.
But it obviously can be a huge time suck. And so I was only seeing real estate groups.
I love it.
I found a guy that posted up, he was interested in selling his building in Cleveland, Ohio. And so we hadn't gone into Cleveland yet, but it was a market that I did like.
Yeah.
And so I contacted him. He only had like 4 or 5 people that had kind of responded over the last few days. People were kicking tires on him. I got the numbers. He wanted $200,000 more than we actually landed on a purchase price. At those numbers, it wasn't a great deal.
Yeah.
So what did he want?
He wanted $950 for this, and he was considering it a 10 unit. There's actually 11 units, but 1 unit has never been renovated. It's been used as storage for the entire time.
In the basement or something?
Yeah, in the basement. Yeah.
Okay.
But this is a massive building. It's an 11,000 square foot building. They're 3 and 4 bedroom apartments.
No way.
Another thing about Cleveland is the hub of Cleveland is the Cleveland Clinic Center. It's the Cleveland Clinic is a nationally renowned hospital.
Okay.
Campus on campus on campus on on hospitals, colleges. It just is a real thriving area.
I love it.
This area is about 6 blocks from that. Up and coming.
Yeah.
So there's some renovations. Like when we went and checked out the property, you could see a lot of renovations, but also a lot of like they're waiting for tear downs and stuff like that, which is perfect. That's exactly where we want to be, right?
Yep.
You want to be on the side of the neighborhood that is about to get.
Because then you have that appreciation play as it gets.
Right.
I hate saying the word gentrified, but it is what it is.
Yeah, it's happening, and you want to be there when it happens.
Yep.
And so you've got this massive building. About half of them are 100% Section 8 tenants, and so Section 8 dictates how high the rents can be, but they're 100% pay.
Yeah.
So you just want to make sure that you're maximizing that. Well, we have 3 and 4 bedroom units, and that's how Section 8 capitalizes on what you can charge for rent.
Okay.
So you've got some of these units that are renting for $1,100, $1,200, $1,300 a unit, and some that are undervalued, and that's where our value add comes in. Which I'm fortunate that he hadn't done all the work yet. Right.
Gotcha.
2 units that haven't been renovated, so 9 units that are rented, and only half of them rented at market.
Okay.
And so I gave him, hey, this is where I probably would be if we were to go at it. He wasn't interested. I backed off, but I stayed in contact with him.
Nice.
As I'm staying in contact with him, he's also looking at properties. And so we had gone, my wife and I went on vacation. We came back and he called me as we were coming back and was like, okay, I'm pretty interested. Let's talk and let's figure out a deal.
Nice.
And I told him, I said, stop working on what you're working on right now, because he was renovating one of the places. Well, it's getting more expensive by the minute that he's renovating it. Yeah. I want to be in control of that.
Yeah.
And so I said, stop renovating it, and I'll give you an offer. We came up with 3 different offers for him. So I had an offer at, I think, 700 or 720. Yeah, 700, 725 full cash.
Okay.
775 he owner carried, 75,000 or something like that.
Okay.
And then.
Because that would be your down payment?
Yeah.
So you're just trying to get him owner carry your down payment.
Yeah. And then 800,000 if he covered my entire down. I had him owner carrying 175,000 or something like that. And he came back and said, well, he didn't want to owner carry because he's 1031ing into another property.
Yep.
But he would he countered, and so we landed on 750 with a 60-day close. And so there have been some things we pushed the close. Now we had to push it just to get it down the road. But we worked out terms, came back to what we wanted to be. We actually went and found at the same time, because I had been posting on social media what we had been doing, which is really uncomfortable for me. I talked to you guys about that. I'm not a social media guy as far as posting. We had been approached by some potential investors and had been talking with them, realized that this was a couple that wanted to invest in real estate, but they didn't want to be hands-on. And so we had a solution there. We could partner with these people and offer them a return on their money, as well as some equity into a deal. It would allow us to just go secure the deals, bring in their money as the down payment. They get immediate cash flow. We're doing a preferred return with them.
Great.
They're getting additional profits, and then they get equity in the deal. And so now we're able to take that piece and go plug it into deals and really, really blow up. And so this was the first one that we did with them. We brought them in as a kind of a private lender partner.
That's really intelligent.
It was really cool.
You saw that they had an issue. And again, your abundance go-giver mindset said, I can actually help you. You have money, you have no time, and you probably don't have that great of experience investing in real estate.
Right.
I can solve all those problems for you and give you a return. Plug it into real estate, and you're a vetted investor. So it's like, boom, win-win for everybody.
Yeah, yeah, and it's been really, really good. We've built up awesome relationships with them and with a couple of our other private lenders. And I know as we scale, we won't. Right now it's like almost like a family. Like I care about what's going on in their lives, and we have these conversations. And as you scale and you grow a massive company, I know that won't always be the case. But for right now, it's been really, really cool to have that awesome relationship. Things are going really well.
Yeah.
We've got, deals in place and a good pipeline of deals that we're going to be able to do with them.
Yeah.
It's just been awesome. It's been a blessing.
That's rad. Okay, so you picked it up $750.
Yeah.
Got to renovate 2 units, and then really aside from that, it was just get the rents to market value.
Yeah, even at rents right now, it's going to be cash flowing. So we're doing a preferred return for our investors. So they're getting a preferred return on their down payment. Outside of that, it's still going to be cash flowing. $1,200 to $1,500 a month before we've even raised markets.
Wow, killer.
So we're going to renovate these 2 units and get up to market. Once it's at that, both myself and my investors will be cash flowing over $2,000 a month each.
Wow.
And we will have immediately raised it probably $200,000 to $300,000 in equity from the value add that we did by buying low, buying at value, getting it to market rents, and getting those units renovated. Now, if we were to turn and resell the property just at an 8 cap, we would probably list that property for 115 to 1.2.
Man, that's killer. That's one of the things that I think people can miss when they're looking at multifamily is because for other people who are probably looking at that deal, they go, oh, well, there's only 2 units that need renovated. There's probably not enough spread for me to go in and renovate those and make money, right? But then by looking at the actual asset and saying, no, the person who was running it wasn't running it properly,
right,
and it's under rented, then that's just an immediate value add. It'll probably take some time to negotiate with Section 8 and get them up in rents. I know they're kind of hard to work with sometimes, but once you do, that's way easier than doing a 11-unit renovation.
Right.
Yeah,
you
don't
got 9 units, you just got to negotiate rents on, and that's your value add. That's killer.
And for us, value add is so important, right? I am not the investor that's going and just trying to beat out appreciation, right? I'm not trying to sink millions of dollars into a market where I'm at a 4 cap on an A-class building. That's great for people that have already established incredible wealth.
Yeah.
For all of us that are trying to really make our money go as far as it is, we've got to be in value add.
Yeah.
That's, with some parameters. Obviously, we don't want to be buying, in a D-class neighborhood in a place that has, 40 murders a month. But if we can find exactly what we're talking about, a growing metro area on the fringe of up and coming, you can really make some money there in value add.
And I think there's some key points in your particular deal that you just talked about that I'm hoping the listeners pulled out. So one, if you're buying tenant-occupied properties, and even more so specifically Section 8 tenant properties, they have some, I'm not going to say that they're in great shape or they're totally ready to go or beautifully redone, but Section 8 has some policies where there has to be a checklist of items. The property has to be maintained to some extent, right?
They do.
And so that's kind of that could be a filter to your vetting process of being okay, true. Hey, Jeff and I can rent to anybody in any condition.
Yeah.
But if we have Section 8 tenants, they're dictating the condition of that property.
Yeah, there's a guideline.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So there's this filter that kind of protects you, right? One of our parameters is that at least for right now, we will only buy tenant-occupied properties.
Yeah.
I won't buy completely vacant.
Yeah.
Because it's a filter for me in a remote market.
Yep.
So somebody needs to already be living there and paying rent.
Yep.
Because that means that it's at least livable condition.
Yep.
Yeah, and then we are looking for month-to-month leases though, so we can get that rent up a little higher.
Yeah.
One of the things I want to pull out from that is this strategy works because it was an 11 unit, right? Yes, it can work on a duplex, but your numbers are so much better because of the amount of units that there were, right?
Yeah.
So there's a guy in our market, AJ Osborne, does self-storage. He talks about he can go and double the value of a storage facility just by taking a poorly managed asset, poorly managed asset, raising the rents to market rent, and he has 200, 300 doors, right, in that storage facility. So he can raise it by $25 a door. And what just happened to that cap rate? It flew up because there's 300 doors.
Absolutely.
So where you're raising rents by let's just, for easy math, you're raising by $100, $200. Let's just say that. So on 11 units, you just raised those up by $2,200.
Right.
That cap rate just flew up. But if it's a duplex, you raised it by $200 to $300, right?
Right.
That cap rate didn't jump as high, right? So that's where there's the huge room in multifamily when you get to having so many doors that an incremental increase can have an exponential value add on the cap rate that you're now able to sell this for, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. The more doors you have, the more room there is
Yeah.
for value add.
Yeah.
For duplexes and things like that, if you're not doing a complete renovation and bringing in new tenants, it's tough to really skyrocket that cap rate in a short amount of time. We look at those as, do they cash flow now, or can we make them cash flow for us? And we measure, cash on cash returns, another big thing for us, because, we are trying to make sure that we have a higher cash on cash return, so we're smarter with our investments. So, for this one, it was awesome. Our cash on cash return obviously is very high, because we're only paying we're paying for the renovation on this one. And we're looking at this as a 3 to 5 year refinance or exit. So this will be one that if we hold it, we're going to refi it in 3 to 5 years to pull that investor's money back out. At that point in time, they'll continue to hold equity in the deal. They'll still get cash flow, and they'll have more money to put back into us with the new deal.
Amazing,
I love it.
Man.
I like that,
changing
because
their life.
And again, it's an abundance mindset thing, right? Like, I haven't heard anybody say that when they refinance out their investor, that they're going to continue to take equity from that deal. Like, normally it's like, no, it was a 3 to 5 year thing for you. You're now refinanced out. You got your 8% for the 3 years. If we refinance at a higher value, you got your 8% of the equity gain, and that's what they get. I've never heard anybody say, I'm letting them stay in the deal. But that's freaking awesome.
We're giving them money at 3 stages. They get the preferred return. They get percentage of additional cash flow. So anything above that preferred return, they get a percentage of that. And then they're holding equity in the deal too, no matter in perpetuity. So if we refi this at 3 years, sell it at 3 years, end up keeping it for 10 years, they always have that equity until my company no longer owns the property. They have equity in the deal. So once we've pulled their money back out, we've made them, I'm anticipating that this person's return, of course, you can't guarantee your promised returns, and we're very, very clear about that. But we believe that over a 5 year gap, this is probably going to be a 15 to 18% year on your return. So I'm thinking that they're probably going to come away from this ready to invest with us in another deal.
That's the beauty of it, right? You let them hang on, and they make that money, and now boom, there goes your lender for the other deal. You didn't have to go look. It's guaranteed. They're happy. Everyone's winning. So why would you switch it up, right? That's beautiful.
Well, we've taken this show to just about an hour now, so I figure we should probably wrap it up, right?
Let's talk. I want to talk about this duplex real quick.
Cool.
We started a little later. I think we're at like 45 minutes right now.
We did start later. Okay.
Okay, perfect. So one of the things that I had heard, I believe was Brandon Turner was talking about this, was that he had bought rental properties for his children at the very early stages in life. And my wife and I were sitting there talking about, we're like, how cool is that, right? Like, because we think that, there's ways to set your kids up for just an incredible future. And what would be better than having them get involved in real estate with you early on? And it's also a huge savings plan, right? Like, if you want to put your kids into college or have money for them to fund a business or something, we'll buy them an asset right now. And so we found this duplex, and immediately, Hosanna was born in October, and I knew right away the first property that we bought, we wanted to be, something that could be in her name. And so we found this duplex. It's cash flowing right now about $500 a month.
It's killer.
We bought this duplex very, very cheap, and so our out of pocket was not heavy. It's in a metro area that's in between Columbus and Dayton, so it's got good spread right there. And had already been renovated on one side. The other side has long-term tenants. We'll probably keep them in there for a very long time. And so we bought this as an investment for Hosanna for the future. And so what we did is basically we're going to, it's on a 30-year note, but we're putting additional principal back in. So this thing will be paid. This will be a paid off asset by the time that she's 18.
I love it.
In the meantime, we also are having that cash flow. We're still going to be pulling some cash flow back, enough cash flow that if we decide that we wanted to put her into a private education, that this property would be able to pay for that private education.
Beautiful.
Then when she turns 18, this entire time, what we're going to do is show her what it's like. This is your property. This is, as she's old enough, hey, these were the bills for your property. This was the utilities. This is how we manage that property. We're using a property manager, but we're showing her, we make decisions like, we did some fixing on some things that the previous owners had missed right away. Obviously right now she's 9 months old. She has no idea about that, but
you mean you're not making her make the calls to get the repairs done?
It was funny.
You're like, Hosanna, talk to the roofing contractor.
So I posted this on Instagram, and Bigger Pockets ended up sharing it. And it was funny. Some of the comments we got on there were like, this isn't really her property, right? She didn't get the loan. And I'm like, well, no, she didn't, because at the time she was 6 months old. So
no duh, bro.
She didn't really buy that. What's her credit score?
Right. But this will be an asset for her. And we're going to do the same thing for my son, is we'll buy him a property. And then by the time they get to 18, 19, of course, we're going to use our judgment, right? We want to make sure that they've matured well. And as long as we've done our job and we've pointed them towards God and they are in that space, we're going to use this as an opportunity of, hey, do you want to keep this asset? Do you want to borrow against it for your college? Do you want to borrow against it for a business? Do you want to borrow against it and go buy another property? Do you want to sell it? What do you want to do with it?
So then at that point when they're 18, would you, so right now it's just in yours and Sarah's name or an LLC name?
Yeah, LLC
At
name.
18, you quit claim it to them should they decide like, hey, we want to actually take this on, spearhead it?
Yeah.
Man, I love it.
That's really cool,
That's
man.
so awesome.
And actually, the part that I haven't even thought about, I mean, I want to do the same things. I'm very motivated by that, being able to give my children property, especially now. How hard would we all have to work to stack away what that asset will be worth when they're 18?
You can't do it.
Like to just stack away hundreds. It's probably going to be worth
and
a couple $100,000.
Yeah.
And that, you know, the other side of it is like you could just take that $500 a month of cash flow, throw it in the stock market, and you get a 6-7% return. But that's on top of the asset being paid down, and the appreciation. There's no better investment.
You can't
vehicle.
stack that cash, and definitely not against today's inflation. Like, good luck. You're never going to save $200,000 just putting money in a mattress or in a savings account.
It's the best savings account that there is.
It's beautiful.
Real estate.
It's amazing.
One of my goals for my company is I wanted to help our employees buy real estate.
Yeah, same here.
Because it's better than doing a 401k match or anything 100%. That we can possibly do. If we can help them get into buying real estate, that's their retirement plan, right?
Yeah. You get them like 2 to 4 doors, dude, they're chilling.
Yeah.
Like you're going to beat what a 401k is going to do for you all day long.
Absolutely.
I love it, man.
And you teach them so much more. That was the other part I was going to say is like, I am very impressed by your thought process on like, I'm going to show her this is the utility bill and this is the mortgage statement. And okay, look at your mortgage is X percentage of your total rents collected.
Right.
And okay, Hosanna, what happened? Your property manager didn't collect rents this month. Say she's 15 and you're like, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
You have to solve that problem.
Yeah, it's a huge learning opportunity.
Yeah.
And I wish I could take credit for it, but like I said, I heard this from Brandon, and I think that it's something that as real estate investors, we should all be gearing up to try to do for our kids.
Yeah.
Except for now, you can't buy your son anything bigger than a duplex.
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be a duplex. Same exact cash flow, too.
What the heck?
24-unit apartment.
You know,
You're like, that's my boy right there.
Yeah, it's funny. So we're actually kind of looking at, we've got a virtual assistant that goes and targets areas that we want. And on that street, there's another like 8 to 10 different duplexes on this little block. And so we're going to try to target and maybe pick up one for the same street so that at some point, it's not a beautiful city, right? We're talking about Springfield, Ohio, but we could maybe take them out there and be like, look, this is your property. You know?
Yeah, that's rad.
So cool, man.
I'll tell a quick story real quick because we're running out of time, but I think it goes such in line with that I don't want to miss it. My mentor who got me kind of started on real estate, he had 2 daughters, Sam and Casey, and he bought them rental properties when they were kids. They owned some stuff, but he also had them like take this active role in like helping to manage them as they got older, obviously, like 12 to 15. And they're little savages, bro. Like, one is a lawyer right now, like, legit. I'm convinced she'll be the first woman president of the United States. The other one is, like, a head of her medical clinic. She's, like, 21 years old. And it's all because the things they learned, like, they were renting out fridges to the tenants. Like, they would go and take some of their cash flow from their rental properties, buy fridges, and then rent them back to the tenants monthly. They were also the ones who ran the coin-operated laundry on site, and they made all the money. They had to actually talk to the maintenance guys if there was an issue, like get the laundry machine working. His most successful flip that he ever did happened right as the market was downturning in 2008, and his daughters, who were 11 and 12, ran 90% of the flip.
That's crazy.
Like, he taught them so much stuff. They would literally show up to the job site. Like, he's got videos he would show me, and they would show up with their little clipboards, and they'd be like, that paint doesn't look right, that door. And they were like just harassing these contractors.
Dude, that's awesome.
And as the contractor, like, it's a cute little 11-year-old girl, you're going to bend over backwards to make sure that her project's done properly, right?
That's so cool.
So it was in the downturn of a market, and like they still end up making like 60, 70 grand on it at the time.
That's so
So
cool.
I'm like, man, there's just so much power in teaching this thing. And like, who to say like that they're in a position today probably because their dad did that. And unfortunately, their father passed away like a year ago in a tragic accident, but they now have an understanding of like, this guy cared so much for me that he built this legacy that even now that he's passed away, like, this still exists for me.
That's so cool.
Like, that's the other aspect of it. Like, yeah, we're setting our kids up, but what if something does happen to us?
Yeah.
Like, that's you that duplex is you standing there still providing for them 20 to 30 years in the future, even if something happens and you're gone.
And the skill set and the mindset that you gave him, right? Instead of being the dad that sat on the couch and watched TV and hoped that your kids turned out good, he took an active role in making sure that his children were well equipped for life. And if we can do that, if we can give them a skill set, point them towards God, like, you know, we've done what matters.
Just do what you can. That's all you can do. You can't do more. Dibs on River Park duplex for JJ. Just throwing it out there.
Which one is that?
That's the South Bend one we got. That one got killer cash flow. But all right, cool. Well, hey, David, we appreciate it so much, man. Thank you for spending the time with us. You are one rad dude, one smart dude too, man. Killing the game. How can our users? A couple questions. Let's start off with books real quick because I always like to get there. We talked about books earlier, but 2 books that you would recommend that everybody should read or listen to if you're one of those.
Okay, so if you have a business and you're plotting out what that's going to look like, Vivid Vision, and then taking the action steps that Vivid Vision tells you to do, it's by Cameron Herold, and it is just painting the picture of what you want your life and your business to look like.
Yeah.
And so Vivid Vision, and then the action, not just reading the book, but doing the things that the book tells you to do are incredible.
Yeah.
And then one that I recently just read that honestly is just kind of, it's been a gear up for me. We both just did the Hard 75. It helped me gear up through that, and gear up through really making some decisions, was Can't Hurt Me by David Goggins. It's not a business book. It's more of a mindset book. The guy's just a serial athlete. He's like he was a Navy SEAL.
Wow.
He went through Ranger School. He runs ultra marathons. He set the world pull-up record at one point in time.
Dang.
And just can push himself through levels of pain where most of us our brains would say stop, and we would think we gave it all. So it's just a book that makes you think, okay, I've got a little bit more to give.
Wow.
So it's helped me in business and being, pushing through, what I want to do with my workouts and physically and stuff. So that book by David Goggins has been awesome.
I love it,
It
man.
is very explicit, so there is an option to buy the clean version.
Nice.
So
Yeah.
there's 2 versions of it, and if you want to get one that isn't full of cuss words, you can do that too.
There we go.
I think Forbes named him like toughest man on earth.
He's got to be.
That.
Yeah, he's got to be. He is.
That's crazy.
He's insane. I watched him just do a challenge on Facebook where he did wall sits for 30 seconds each while adding plates. At one point in time, he had 11 plates on him, 495 pounds, sitting on his lap while doing wall sits.
That's
Man.
crazy.
And he's
bro.
the only person ever to finish all 3 full entry level trainings to the Air Force.
Yeah, he went through the Air
Navy.
Force's main training, the Ranger School, and he's a Navy SEAL.
Yeah.
Who went through Hell Week 3 times actually.
Jeez Louise.
Just for fun. Hey,
If he
that
had
was
to
really hard. I'm gonna
restart
do that one more
medically,
time.
He'd get on the other side of it, and like he ran. He went through Hell Week one time on broken legs.
Oh my!
He had fractures in his legs. Later, got disqualified through before. So Hell Week happens, I think, like 3rd or 4th week of SEAL training, and that like week 6, he got disqualified and had to come back and redo it.
Oh my goodness. That's
Jeez
and he
Louise.
pushed through.
Yeah.
Man, how do our listeners get a hold of you, David? Or how can they follow you and see your journey, man?
So David Moore on Facebook or Instagram is David Moore Investor. Or they can email me, david@theriserealestate.com. That's my company. But yeah, Instagram, Facebook, email, I respond to all of it. So
Awesome, man.
Awesome, brother. Thank you so much for coming on the show, man. It was
Thank you for having me,
truly a
guys.
pleasure to get to learn from you too. Like we
Yeah.
took a lot away from just sitting down with you.
thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, brother.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of the Chasing Freedom podcast with Noah and Jeff.
Please subscribe to our YouTube channel in the show notes below. And if you ever want to get a hold of us, feel free to do it via our Instagrams. You can also follow us for our funny content on TikTok.